Hello everyone, this is Brett and thank you for tuning in. Today is a long overdue video showing a collection update slash vinyl finds encompassing the months of November and December of 2023. So this is going to be just highlights, things that Sarah and I picked up that I thought were interesting to talk about and show. So let's kick things off. The first one is going to be a CD box set, and I've showed several box sets from the Cherry Red label. And this one is just recently released in 2023, and this is from the Darling Buds. This is called Killing for Love. It is a 5 CD box set collecting all of the work of the band, the Darling Buds. If you're unfamiliar, a criminally underrated band from the late 80s, early 90s. They released 3 albums back then. Before calling it a day. They reunited in the 2010s, released an EP which just came out on 10-inch vinyl, and fortunately it is collected on the final disc here, those 4 songs which are total in line with their early work, all 4 memorable songs, evergreen, Guess the Good Parts, Complicated, and 21 Aches is a great song. So if you're unfamiliar with the Darling Buds, classic alternative indie pop. I'd say if you like things like the Bangles, Lush, maybe Veruca Salt, Belly, Teenage Fan Club, Blondie, and probably the closest comparison from that same kind of era would be the Primitives. Let me just show you what's all in here. So like all the Cherry Red box sets, they come in these, well, some of them come in like more of like a book style, but these collections often come in this clamshell box. It always has a book. This is no exception, which has an essay, lots of cool photos in this one. And it goes through the story of the band, etc. And then you have the 5 discs that are in mini LP sleeves. All types of rarities on here. Disc 1, the early years, demos, early singles. And then you have their debut, Pop Said. Hit the Ground is great. Uptight the Other Night is my favorite one on this. And then it's got like 9 or 10 bonus tracks. You have Crawdaddy, which was their second album. Had the great single Crystal Clear on it. Once again, tons of bonus tracks. Their final album, 1992's Erotica, which has Long Day in the Universe. I remember hearing that on the Phoenix station, KUKQ AM 1060. Would play it all the time. So great song, great vocal performance by Andrea as well. Erotica, that cover, if you've ever come across this before or seen that, I'd always see it in the record store back when it came out because it looked so similar, the album cover, to Madonna's album of the same name, Erotica, but the Darling Buds came out I think 2 weeks before that. So just a bizarre coincidence there. And then the final disc, Rarities and Unreleased. This is a bunch more demos, live tracks, and the final 4 songs are that EP, Evergreen, which I think I mentioned when I started talking about it, from 2017, I believe. The 4 songs on here, outstanding, and holds up with their early work. So yeah, check out the Darling Buds, as I mentioned. Very underrated, and it's great to see that Cherry Red marked their career in this box set. And for you vinyl collectors out there, the label Music on Vinyl is reissuing the 1992 album, their final one, Erotica, at the end of January 2024, and it's incredibly limited. I think it's 750 copies, so do not sleep on that if you want to get that hard to find record. Okay, next up, one of my all-time favorite voices. This is, I got this the day it came out. I think it was back in November. This is Peter and the Wolf from Gavin Friday and the Caesar Ensemble. So Gavin Friday, unfamiliar, fronted the post-punk, art rock, very hard to describe Irish band, the Virgin Prunes. And this originally came out on CD only back in 2003. I remember at the time, wow, that's like 21 years ago. I remember being in Amoeba Records in Hollywood and coming across the CD box set for it, and I didn't buy it. And then when I went back another time, it was gone, and I just never got around to picking it up. So this is the first time it's ever appeared on vinyl. And you're like, well, why did it get reissued? Well, I think it's on HBO or Max. They're doing a Peter and the Wolf series, and this is the soundtrack to it. So the original tracks that were recorded back in 2003. I should also mention that the artwork for these and all the illustrations were done by Gavin Friday's very close friend, Bono from U2. It is a 2-record set. In each album comes in a sleeve with these little drawings, credits. It's just beautifully put together. It includes some, I guess you call them lithographs or 12 by 12 on this kind of nice textured parchment. And the other inner sleeve, there's the wolf, Peter, I'm assuming his grandfather on there. Haven't seen the show yet, perhaps this weekend. So lots of cool drawings in this. So yeah, that's Peter and the Wolf, the original soundtrack. One of my all-time favorite stories. When I was a kid, I used to listen to the original like obsessively, and being a musician, I always loved how they used orchestral instruments as little motifs to identify the characters. So when you heard a certain instrument, it was the wolf, or it was Peter, or it was the hunter, or whoever it was. So definitely check that out if you're a fan of Peter and the Wolf, and also of Gavin Friday. Okay, next up, in my best albums of 2023 feature, I had a couple honorable mentions, and this is one that I mentioned: Gene Loves Jezebel, Love, Death, and Sorrow. So if you missed that video, I'll leave a link for that in the description. So not only am I going to show this, but at the time that this came out back in early December, 2 of their other older albums got reissued, and I'm going to show those as well. But if you're on, several people left comments about having no idea that this album came out. So Love, Death, Sorrow, brand new album, 5 cover songs, 7 originals. And as I said in that video, there's a version of The Cure's In Between Days on here that is just so outstanding. The way Jay approaches it vocally just adds a whole nother emotional depth to the original Cure version. You have magazines, The Light Pours Out of Me, Marianne Faithfull's Broken English, the song A Girl Like You, Another Girl, Another Planet. So, and then the originals on this one, The Man That Time Forgot is excellent. Another favorite is You Can't Hurt Me Anymore. So, Love, Death, Sorrow from Gene Loves Jezebel. And all these reissues the other reissues I'm going to show all come on a cool color. So this is on a purple. All right, so then the next one, going backwards in time to 2017, is Dance Underwater. Now, when this originally came out, Gene Loves Jezebel had done a Pledge Music, which is comparable to like a Kickstarter, and they originally released this back then. There was a limited vinyl run, and then of course it went out of print and became very hard to find. So Gene Loves Jezebel signed with Cleopatra Records, and they're reissuing some of these albums that are long out of print or have never been on vinyl, which you'll see in the case here. So this is Dance Underwater, and it's on an orange color. Some standout tracks for this one: How Do You Say Goodbye to Somebody You Love, or Someone You Love, I Don't Want to Dance Underwater, Is It Me? Some really killer tracks on there. And then the last one, this originally came out, it has some different artwork on this one, but the original release of Heavenly Bodies came out back in 1993, so this is a reimagined cover. It's on like a purple splatter. This contained Josephina, Sweet Sweet Rain were big alternative radio songs back then. Break the Chain, In a Lonely Place. Really good stuff. So it's cool to see this because it never came out on vinyl back in its original run. It was CD only. So Gene Loves Jezebel, if you're watching this, you have no idea. When they first started out back in the early 80s, 81, 82, 83, they were kind of considered in the kind of goth rock, post-punk realm. Their sound evolved over time. I would say if you like David Bowie, if you like U2, if you like early The Cult, maybe even Simple Minds. So if you had to pick and you could only choose one of these to pick up, I think the new album is actually a really great place to start for you. So that's Gene Loves Jezebel. Next up, I did a video a few months back after the passing of Sinead O'Connor, and with another YouTube guy named William Frederick, and we went down and presented our 25 favorite Sinead O'Connor songs. And in that, I talked about the need of some reissues of some of her out of print and really hard to find albums. And shortly after, we got a couple of them. And this one, Universal Mother, is the one that I picked up. This was from back in 1994. I haven't gotten around to give this one a spin yet, but this one has just some outstanding tracks. Thank You for Hearing Me is for me clearly the standout. It also has a cover of Nirvana's All Apologies, which is beautifully done. So that is Sinead O'Connor, Universal Mother. Am I Not Your Girl also got reissued, and I think maybe even her first two albums. Sorry about that. Okay, next up. So normally I do a video for Record Store Day, the one in April, the one for Black Friday, but this year with the holidays I just ended up getting too busy, and I only truly picked up one release out of the four that I had my sights on. One of them ended up getting canceled. The other one the other two were they just ended up costing too much. But the one I did pick up, for those of you who watch my channel a long time, you know I am a fan of Graham Parsons. And this is the one that came out, a 2-record set, Graham Parsons and the Fallen Angels, The Last Roundup, live from the Bijou Cafe in Philadelphia, March 16th, 1973. Almost 51 years ago. So this was put out by Amoeba Records, the LA small record chain. And story goes, they had a I don't know if it was the owner of Amoeba Records had got in possession of a cassette tape that was recorded from this show, and it went for several years. It was put in a closet, it was forgotten about, and when Amoeba Records had to move off of their Sunset Boulevard location, it got uncovered. They did a Kickstarter to help fund it, and then for RSD Black Friday, we got a release of it here. So it's 2-record set. You have Graham Parsons with Emmylou Harris, of course. And I have to admit, I have not spent a whole lot of time with this one. My first listen, I just wasn't in the mood for it, I guess, at the time. But it's a 2-record set, black vinyl. It has just some classic Graham Parsons tracks on it, along with some covers. So you have We'll Sweep Out the Ashes in the Morning, you have Streets of Baltimore, Love Hurts, you have Sin City from the Flying Burrito Brothers, Graham's band prior to, and New Soft Shoe, and then you have a big medley that includes Hang On Sloopy and Boney Maroney. I don't know. But there it is. One more for the Graham Parsons collection. It's always good to see a new Graham Parsons release, because he only had 2 solo albums. He had the 2 albums with the Burrito Brothers. He had the International Submarine Band, and the 1 album he did with the Byrds, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. So there's not a whole lot of Graham Parsons material out there. Okay, next up, this was a grail for my wife Sarah. This is Trashcan Sinatra's Cake. Cake was originally came out back in 1990, and this is their debut album from the Scottish band. So alternative indie pop. I'd say if you like, immediate reference that comes to mind is like a Crowded House. But if you like the Smiths, if you like Belle and Sebastian, I could see you definitely digging Trashcan Sinatras. This reissue, and this was long out of print, kind of expensive to find originals on orange vinyl. It comes with a print of the front cover. Yeah, so favorite tracks on this one, I have to say, I've known the Trashcan Sinatras for years, but wasn't very familiar with a lot of their material. But I have to say, I really got into this album. Opportunity Knocks is the opening track, total standout. Another favorite was Even the Odd. And for a band that formed in 1986 and has been relatively active for, almost 40 years, they've only released 6 albums to date. So this is Cake, Trashcan, Sinatras. Next up, I know a few people have left me some comments when I did my best albums video of 2023, and they said, did you hear the new OMD record? What did you think of it? Well, I did. I bought it the day it came out. This is Bauhaus Staircase. I'm torn on this album. English Electric, which came out back in, I think, 2013, was one of my favorite albums of the year. I mean, to me, that rivals with their best work. Like, if I were to talk to someone who's just getting into OMD, I would say even start with that album. It's so good. Bauhaus Staircase, I have to say, it's grown on me a little bit, but my first listen to it back when I got this, I have to say I was a little bit disappointed. I just, for something about the opening track, the title track, Bauhaus Staircase, just came off to me like, that phrase Bauhaus Staircase, let's try to work it into a song, and it just felt a little forced to me. And I guess it just sounds a little bit too much like the last album, Punishment of Luxury, but definitely not as good. So I'm curious who out there is watching, if this album is a total standout for you, if you love it. I'm still growing towards it. I definitely like it a lot more now after several listens than I did when I first spun it. But yeah, I can't help but being a little bit disappointed by Bauhaus Staircase. Okay, next up. This was a Grail for me. So I mentioned in my last video, what was that called? The vinyl tag, yes. That my sister and her 2 sons, my nephews, were visiting from Chicago over the holidays, and my nephew had gotten a turntable a few months back, so he's been collecting records, and of course, I had to take him to some record stores. So we ended up going to this one store, and I saw them on Instagram post this record a few months back. It's a relatively brand new store. And I was just flipping through the bins, and then I looked up and I saw that this was still on the wall, and I couldn't believe that someone hadn't picked it up yet. So, a little backstory before I show you what it was. Back, I don't know, over 10 years ago, I was in San Diego with my friend, and I came across this record, and I think it was $40 at the time, and I just didn't want to spend the money. And so the second I returned home, I regretted it, and I've never come across it since. It's very difficult to find, very out of print. It was a one-and-done record from this band, and that is Rainy Day. So you're looking at this perhaps and saying, what is this? Well, let's look at the hype sticker that's still on here. It's still in the original shrink wrap. This album actually came out back in 1984. Original price tag on there as well. So Rainy Day. Okay, first up, we got to backtrack to the band Opal. So Opal released one album there, Happy Nightmare Baby, which featured David Roback and Kendra Smith. And from Rain Parade, David Roback, and Dream Syndicate, Kendra Smith. And they formed Opal, which later evolved into Mazzy Star when Hope Sandoval joined the band and Kendra Smith left. Anyways, I did a video on this years ago, but this was really an album of all cover songs done by members of Opal, the Bangles, Susanna Hoffs along with other members, Dream Syndicate, the 3 O'Clock, and they're performing covers of some of their favorite songs, Neil Young, Dylan, Lou Reed. I got this copy on Rough Trade. It is absolutely a beautiful copy. It looks like it was never played in the original shrink wrap. So, in a way, I was glad I held off on that one that I found 10 years ago, because I found a just beautiful copy. Absolutely beautiful copy. So, we consider this part of the Paisley underground, folk, psychedelic, jangle pop. Recommended if you like a lot of those bands that I mentioned, if you're familiar with them. I know some of them are a little bit more obscure, but let's throw some bigger names out there. If you like the Byrds, if you like the Bangles, if you like Big Star, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, total for you. I'm also always thrilled when I find an album that was recorded at Radio Tokyo Studios in Los Angeles. engineered by Ethan James. He worked with so many great LA bands over the years. And the standout one is the 1985 EP from Psycom, the early Jane's Addiction demos, the Minutemen, Sonic Youth, etc., etc. Recommended tracks on this one: the opening track, the cover of "I'll Keep It With Mine," the Bob Dylan song sung by Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles. A beautiful rendition of it, and the one I always knew was the Nico version. Holocaust, the Alex Chilton song from the Third Big Star record, sung by Kendra Smith from Opal or Dream Syndicate, and which is backed with the Rollback Brothers and Will Glenn also of Rain Parade. And then Susanna Hoff sounds wonderful on the VU song Velvet Underground, I'll Be Your Mirror. So yeah, I was thrilled to find that, and that is one to check off of the Grail list. That is Rainy Day. All right, next up, Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. So this is the 30th anniversary of Snoop Dogg's debut album. You can see that gold print of the title there. This is the 30th anniversary Walmart edition. I'm not even going to open up the gatefold on that. This is on this cool blue clear haze. Check that out. 2-record set, Gin and Juice, Who Am I, Doggy Dog World were the singles. Yeah, really cool to have this one. So that is Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. All right, next up. This is Bricks Are Heavy from L7. There was a song that came out in 2023 that was probably amongst my top 3 most listened to songs, called Cooler Than Mars from L7. It was a non-album single. The music video is just so well done. The song is catchy. It's serious, yet it's kind of funny the way the music and the video ties together. But this is the 30th anniversary edition of their 1992 third album, reissued by Licorice Pizza Records. Grunge, kind of punk rock. If you like Joan Jett, if you like White Zombie, if you like Nirvana's Bleach album or Hole, I think you'll dig L7. This one is produced by Butch Vig, Nirvana's Nevermind, Smashing Pumpkins. It is a real fuzzy guitar album, but also sounds super crisp. And even though it has this dirtiness to it, the melodic content on here, the songs are super catchy. You'll have them in your head. Really great. So some of my favorites on this one, Pretend We're Dead, Mr. Integrity, which starts off with this little boom, and you think that it's going to be a Ventures song, like a surf rock, and it's not. But anyways, that is Bricks Are Heavy from L7. All right, and finally, let's wrap this one up with 4 reissues from the Danish metal band Mercyful Fate. We have In the Shadows. These were all reissued on Metal Blade Records. We have a cool blue and black smoky thing. If you're unfamiliar with Mercyful Fate, fronted by King Diamond, this is 9, which is on this cool red smoke. We also have Time, which is on Bone Colored, which is this off-white. And the 4th one here is Into the Unknown. So, oh, look at that. Yeah, cool little gray-black smoky thing. Unfamiliar with Mercyful Fate, let's just say if you like the band Ghost, you like Metallica, check out Mercyful Fate and check out King Diamond's solo work as well. So there you have it. There's some highlights from November and December of 2023. Thank you for watching. I look forward to reading your comments. Let me know what you guys have picked up, and I will see you soon.